It is not by chance that sometimes you bump into some channels or you bump into some people or you listen to some music that really sometimes tend to draw your attention. Why am I talking about that? Because most of the time, people say that I can't hear the voice of God. I don't know how to really communicate. I don't know how to hear, to communicate so that God can answer me. Let me tell you, friends, one thing. It is not always by chance that you bump into those videos. It is not by chance that you always bump into some people. When you really pay attention of your surrounding, sometimes give yourself a challenge. Pray over what you want to do. Pray over something that you want God to work in you. Then pay attention to your surrounding. I had to learn this, friends. I had to learn this because I was also sometimes thinking, God, I cannot hear God's voice. I don't know how to hear God's voice. And I got somebody who really guided me through. And because she kept on telling me, you are the one who is not attentive. You don't have to hear God's voice shouting. He will not shout. He will not bring it like the way you need it. And once the person started directing me and I read most of the scriptures in the Bible, I got to really learn how God speaks to us. Because I think according to me, I looked at the life of Samuel, how God was calling Samuel. And I think that is something that I grew up and I think we did, like, you know, how we always do it in the Sunday school. And there was a performance about it. And God was calling Samuel. And because on the background, we had to have that loud voice. So I was always thinking that God has to call me or God has to instruct me so loud like that, like he did for Samuel, you know. But I came to realize it's not true. When I started paying attention to my surrounding, the things I used to pray about, the things I really needed God to work on, but I was praying, I was fasting and waiting on the Lord, but not knowing God gives me instruction. But attention-wise, I wasn't there. So what happened? There was some time I really needed something. It was something that I had really struggled with for a very long time. And I'm one person who, when I'm in my relaxing time, first of all, I love sports. That is something I think all of you know. I like tuning into sports. And then after that, I will just listen to some preachers and other content creators who have Christian-based channels and all that. And I have learned so much from them. And I remember one of them said, it is not always that loud. So there was a time I just used to bump into these videos and it started speaking to me like, you have been praying about this and every video you are bumping into, or sometimes when I'm just looking at the videos on my phone, I just scroll and this thing bump into my screen. And of course, I have to listen to it. And I came to realize, hey, girl, God is telling you something. And in my dreams as well, I was somebody who could dream and I will forget about that dream when I wake up in the morning. I had to ask God to, with the help of the Holy Spirit, to always help me remember the dreams. And that is why I always, when I dream and I wake up from that dream, I write it down because I'm very sure when I wake up in the morning, I will forget about it. So God speaks to us. It must not be so loud the way I used to think. It might be even your kids, your friends. You might bump into somebody and in between this normal conversation, he will tell you something or she will tell you something that if you end up paying attention to, most of the time, when a conversation is going on, we are not so keen. But if you are somebody who later always remember what you are talking about, and then you'll feel like there is something this person told me, you know. And if you start really working into it or looking deep into it, you'll find out that that is something that God was instructing, like God has answered you, you know. So let us pay attention to our surrounding. Let us pay attention to what you bump into most of the time, the scriptures as well, the worship songs, the praise. Sometimes you just want to be in an environment where you just listen to praise, you just listen to worship. And friends, sometimes it comes even to, let's say, Thanksgiving worship or Thanksgiving praise. You just feel yourself, you just need these worship or praise songs that are just for Thanksgiving, and you just feel the atmosphere for you is so nice that you don't want to stop listening to this music. You don't want to stop listening to this worship. It is an environment like God has brought that to you. Yeah. If it is Thanksgiving, you are giving thanks, you know. So let us not stop saying that God is not at work in me. At the same time, I can say God is at work God is at work with you, friends. Yeah. Think about the times that you came through for somebody. It wasn't by coincidence, friends. I'll give an example, let's say, with the supermarket. Sometimes you go to the supermarket and maybe in front of you, there's somebody who maybe he or she didn't know that there is, he doesn't have the money, and then he starts looking at his purse and then the money is not there. Friends, it's not by coincidence that you are there at that time. You help that person. You could be late even going to that supermarket, but you are there for that person. Why? Because God has given you that gift. You have a heart to give. You have a heart always to help. And maybe this person didn't know that the purse was not even there. And then you are there at that time, and then you help that person. Think about when you helped somebody with an advice. The person trusted you with that advice. Maybe the person has been praying about it, fasting about it, and keeping all this by him or herself. And then he just thought, oh, I need to share this with this person. It is not by coincidence. It is God who instructs the person. Go to such a person and please speak to the person about whatever is going on. And you gave that person that advice, or you help that person with that situation. He could go to somebody else, or maybe the person had already tried even other means and it wasn't working, but the person came to you and that thing worked. I'm very sure most of us, even sometimes, we are shocked. That is a gift that God has given you. That is something God has put in you. So let us not stop saying we are not listening to God's voice. Let us not say that God is not at work in you. God is at work in you. He is really working. Think about that talent that you have and the other person doesn't have. Because God cannot give everybody the same things, you know. So friends, this is something I wanted to encourage all of us. Let us pay attention to our environment. The little things that you do, it means God is at work in you. The decisions that you make through the help of the Holy Spirit, the decisions that you once made and it worked, God was with you. So thank you, friends, for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless you so much.